Motion sickness. Today's group were so young at the time they signed a record deal that their parents had to negotiate with the label for them. Ben Gilius, Christian Now, and Daniel Johns were all just 15 years old when they released their debut Frog Stomp. It was a pretty big success, especially in Australia, and they got to then team up with legendary producer Nick Launay for their second album, Freak Show. They would then fulfill their final third album in their contract with Sony with this. A step in a completely new direction. This is their 1999 album, Silverchair's Neon Ballroom. Through Epic and Murmur Records, this is a giant step in the band's evolution and an expressive display of frontman John's tormented thoughts and struggles throughout his overburdened teenage years. They managed a third straight #1 album in Australia, even with almost completely overhauling their previous styles that relied on a post-grungy kind of 70s rock influences. They managed to retain their youthfulness here, but they surround it with this enveloping theatrical ambiance, pulling you in right away with the orchestral epic emotion sickness. The pained atmosphere and lyrics are completed by the piano and strings accompaniment on this 6-minute journey that's just the perfect way to announce their artistic shift. Then Anthem for the Year 2000 breaks down the instrumental to a hard-stomping, punky three-piece with this broody and angsty cut that has a call to arms feeling with these gritty, shouted vocals that proclaim generational inequities and promise to make up the difference in the chorus. I know I'm 20 years late to the party, but this one's an anthemic banger. It's epic, it's huge, it's emotional. Get into it. Anna's song, Open Fire, is a powerfully written alt-rock ballad where Daniel confronts his struggles with anorexia nervosa. Building, battling with brutal words all on top of this anthemic pop rock chorus, he crafts a cut that feels simultaneously like he's given in to his disease and he's overcome it. Super interesting here. Let me know what you think about this one. The next track was originally considered for their second album, Freak Show. It's the oldest song on the record and is even remixed for the movie Spawn. It's also the only track that wasn't exclusively written by Johns, with Ben, the drummer, coming in and providing some lyrical insight. It's a huge change of pace from the almost uplifting Anna's song, being closer to a Marilyn Manson or a Rage Against the Machine track. It's screamo rock that's distorted, intense, and has demands for animal liberation, with lines like 8 billion killed for human pleasure and why can't the animals be free when trading soldiers for steak. Then we have another ankle-breaking shift onto this album's third single. It's the soft and light Miss You Love. It's super lovely and weepy sounding, sort of like an alt-rock Owl City, but the content's about feeling alienated and bitterly seeking out love outside of the familial sense of the word. The abrupt shift in tone and pace here and the general corniness of the vibe really doesn't do it for me here, though. Reaching back to their grunge roots on the Nirvana-esque Dearest Helpless, about feeling hopeless and trying to warn the people around you to stay away for fear of dragging them down with you. They're really in no rush on the next track, Do You Feel the Same? Lyrically, it feels a little directionless, and it has just got simple, heavy drums, guitar, bass. It's even got a wandering guitar solo in it. Still manages to be a bit memorable, and like pretty much every track on this album, has really full feeling production. A harp accompanies the intro to Black Tangled Heart. Thematically, it's similar to Miss You Now, but it's even lonelier and more helpless. The orchestra really does a great job to highlight Daniel's performance on this super dramatic art rock piece. Pretty straightforward rock comes through on Point of View. It's instrumentally pretty similar to the track Do You Feel the Same, with similarly confusing metaphors and a similarly full-sounding, memorable chorus. I'll take it from the songwriter this time, who says the track's about being vulnerable and being taken advantage of in that vulnerable state. Jumping genres again, this time to a shorter, punky, messier cut titled Satin Sheets. It is a little bit generic when it comes to a punk track, but it is loud enough for an angsty jam out nonetheless. Named after antidepressants, Paint Pastel Princess takes you on a rock and roll about from plucky, beachy indie rock riffs to grunge to orchestral pop rock. This was released as their final single off the album, but it never charted, which feels strange to me because it does feel like something I would have heard on the radio at that time. Maybe too many different directions to classify, but I don't really feel like this is that out of the box either. A driving snare drum takes center stage on the closing number, Steam Will Rise. The most notable bass performances here too on this battle to be yourself and the fear that comes from truly expressing yourself. Yet again, a steady, memorable rock cut with gripping production. While the themes and performances here feel like any other alt-rock group from their time and even beyond, their age does come through a little bit on this LP. I really couldn't quite put my finger on it until I looked further into it, but I guess the melodrama and the angst do tend to highlight the band's years in a certain number of cases here. While the verification of their age was a bit of an aha moment, it ultimately makes this a bit more interesting and impressive. It's a great album, and I think they really showed that they could branch out and be successful in a number of different ways. With this CD, they'd fulfilled their contract with Sony and were able to put out their fourth album on their own record label. Also with Atlantic, they helped distribute their records overseas, but their record label 11 helped them put out their fourth album, Diorama, and I believe their fifth album as well, Young Modern. That was back in 2007, their record-breaking fifth straight #1 album in Australia. They hold the record for most ARIA wins with 21 wins and 49 nominations over their 5-album career. In 2011, they announced an indefinite hibernation, so there's not much of a chance at any more Silverchair music in the future. So if you are interested in this, take a dive into their little 5 LP discography. There's some fun little gems in there. You might have a great little trip back through memory lane. Great group. Hope you enjoyed. If you did, smash that like, subscribe for more content next week. Coming out with random records, random CDs, all the way through until next year and the year after that and maybe the year after that. Who knows? What are you going to do about it? I'm here. You're here. Let's keep it going. I'm enjoying myself. Subscribe. Watch more videos. I'll make it up to you in the year 2000. Build it all for you in the year 2000 with you. Woo!